It's been months of planning, designing, brainstorming ideas, a little bit of crying, and a lot of painting, and I'm finally about to finish my brand new Jaguar painting. We are approaching the end of this video series, and let's just think about what a journey we've been on. We've tried out some brand new paints. We've learned how to prepare a wooden panel for painting on, including all of the mediums and gesso techniques that we use to create a brilliant surface for painting on. We've talked about the ideas behind the design process and how I use Procreate and my iPad Pro to create a mock-up of my initial design. In my previous videos, I've shown you how I turn that initial design, that initial mock-up, into a plan, into a painting, into a colour study that I can use to practice ideas, learn techniques and develop new skills that I could apply to the actual big painting that I'm trying to create. We talked about different skills and different techniques, and that's when things got even bigger. In today's video, I'm going to show you my process for painting big acrylic paintings. Not this one, its bigger older brother. And now we can actually get on to the fun part of the painting process. We looked at the background and some tips for when you're going big with your paintings. We looked at the blocking and we looked at painting lots and lots of spots. But now it's time for the details and to really make this Jaguar come to life. We are onto the main event now, and not gonna lie, this section just consists of painting lots and lots of spots. Instead of working section by section like I did on the face and the back, I've decided to do the entire body layer by layer, getting each part to the same point before I progress to the next layer. Honestly, there's no reason for this. I was just getting a bit bored of painting the spots. I didn't want to have to do them over and over again with each section, so I just thought I'd get them all out the way and done with. Working like this did actually make the painting feel like it was coming together a lot faster. It takes much longer to do each layer, obviously, but once that layer is complete, the piece seems to come together as a whole a lot sooner, rather than working small section to complete finish like I did with the head. The Jaguar itself was pretty tricky because at this moment in time, I'm using a small round brush to put these tiny little hairs in, and I know I said in my last video that big brushes are better for big paintings. The difficulty with this painting is, even though the picture is big, because I've got that whole Jaguar, the entire body, the actual distance between the spots is actually quite small, so I need a smaller brush to be able to put that fur detail in. If, for example, I was just doing a Jaguar's head and the Jaguar itself was quite big and bigger than life, then I wouldn't be using a brush that small. Now that that detail layer's in, I can really start to bring this piece to life with some glazing and some final details. There is still so much to do on this painting, and I've only got about 3 hours left of today before I'm off to Anglesey to go and see Amber for a long weekend. I'm going to try and get the chest done and as much of the front paw as possible. I'm probably not going to get it all done, so I am going to have to take a little break from painting this piece. And hopefully I'll be able to get it finished next week. It's been about 5 days since I've worked on this piece. Since you last saw it, I have done a little bit of airbrushing just to knock things back a little bit, put a bit of shadow on there, put a bit of form on there, and help it sort of like emerge out of this jungle a little bit. All that's left to do now is build up this paw again, build up some of the detail in the ears, and really make it look like he's walking out of that jungle. Anyway, let's get to it. These are the same paints that I've been using for the entire painting process. They're about a month old. I keep them wet by using an acrylic retarder, which I'll link in the description. And I also cover them in cling film or cellophane overnight. And doing that keeps the paint wet for months, which means I can create big paintings just like this that take a long time and keep a consistent colour scheme without having to spend hours remixing up all of the colours that I want. And I am done. Honestly, I am so glad I'm finished with this piece. About halfway through, I got so stressed out about it and so upset with it. I had one of those like proper like, it's never going to be good enough. What am I doing in my life? Why do I just give up with this painting right now moments? And that happens so much. Like, I know it doesn't come across like that on social media and on YouTube, but every single painting that I do, or near enough every single painting that I do have one of those, oh my god, it's not going to be good enough moments, and I get really stressed, really down on myself. But what you've got to do, just persevere, crack on with the painting, and 9 times out of 10, in fact 99 times out of 100, the painting ends up looking really good, if not one of the best paintings that you've ever done. I always find those paintings that are the most stressful to actually paint usually end up looking really good in the end. And I do think this one is a really nice and well-made painting. I think the reason that I felt so stressed out about it and so worried about it was because of doing that plan. And I loved painting the plan so much, and I loved the final piece of the plan, that I was so determined to make the final piece better that I was just sort of putting a lot of pressure on myself. And I think we tend to do that a lot as artists, put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So that's something that I need to work on. But anyway, enough rambling. Let me show you the final piece. Now that my first Jaguar canvas painting is finished, I've just got to complete 2 more on this one and this one. So if you want to see how I am creating this piece and watch it progress, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.